to an episode of the Open Source Cafe. Today we have Tapas joining us. You may know Tapas from Twitter. It's very active over there. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about. Oh, that was the alarm for this meeting.
Sure.
Let me just redo that and close this. Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of the Open Source Cafe. And today we have Tapas joining us. And Tapas, you may follow him on Showcase and on Twitter. You can check out the links in the description below. And really excited to have you on the show, Tapas. Would you like to tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself?
Hey, thanks, Kunal, for having me here. Hey, I'm Tapas. So I work at Showcase part time as a kind of content lead, just helping out their content stuff. And but I have an experience of close to more than 15 years in doing web development, full stack development, managing UI UX team. Also a writer. Have been writing blogs for last 3 to 4 years. Recently started a YouTube channel for knowledge sharing. Kind of active, as you said, on various social platforms just for learning and sharing purpose. Yeah, that's what it is.
Amazing. And really, curious to learn more about your journey because you mentioned you've been, in tech for so long. So we'll talk about open source. We'll talk about your journey. We'll talk about content creation uh, as a main focus. So can you tell us a little bit more about your journey into tech and how it all started?
Oh, well, as I told, like it may sound like I'm from ancient age, as it started long back. Um, I just finished my college, and then in the year of 2004, I guess five, yeah, 4 or 5, engineering, and then got into software world as such. And the first thing that came to me is like working on Microsoft Excel, writing macros. If you guys know at all about macros, so just write the formulas and things like that. And honestly, I didn't like that what I was doing, and I was kind of trying to identify like what exactly I like, and then figured out, okay, probably JavaScript is the thing. That time it was like, even if you ask for a JavaScript book, you used to get this fat book. We call those Windows API and window APIs and things like that. So started working on it, but somehow started liking. Then Ajax came into picture. It was more interesting. You get the dynamic stuff getting done. Then jQuery changed the world completely. We are doing a lot of stuff. Then finally this Angular JS, React, Angular, and then things just kind of started going on. So I completely kind of focused on that. I would say first 10 years of my career in building myself for the web development. Then slowly started moving towards backend, API building, doing the backend stuff so that I can establish myself as a full stack developer. I think it's in the year 2018 when I first realized the power of open source. One of my friend introduced me, you know, um, in the open source area where we are working on a web server called Jetty. I still remember, and there was a bug, and he told me like, "Why don't you go ahead and fix it if you know the fix?" I told, "How can I fix it? Because it's somebody else's code. It's not my company's code at all." Then told, "No, there is something called open source. Actually, you can go just fork the repo and then fix it, raise the pull request. You are done." I thought, "Oh, is this that simple?" Then I went ahead and started kind of doing that, and that was probably my first exposure towards open source contribution. I will be very frank, my pull request was not accepted, um, because of some reason, but it gave me some guts. Like this is something that I can actually try it out, and eventually I started contributing to open source. Then started maintaining a lot of open source projects where I could build community around, and that's the way actually things have started. And then got a lot of passion about writing and sharing knowledge. What are the problem I've solved over the years? Probably first 10 years, I have a good note taking characteristics. So I used to take notes even on pen and paper or on the README. So I kind of started selling all those raw notes as blog articles, and that's how it was. That's how my content creation journey basically started, and I'm completely enjoying what I'm doing right now.
Amazing. Well, really exciting journey. And my question directly, that comes to my mind because I get a question like this quite a lot because we have a mix of community. We have beginners, we have people who are already working in tech, senior engineers, and things like that. And the people who are like professionals, working already in the IT field for a few years, they ask me like, is it too late to start with open source? Should we have
Okay.
done it in, you know, like university because all these kids are doing it now? And you just said that you worked in the development field for a few years, then you got introduced to open source. So you're a great example, that you can get started at any point
anytime.
of time. So maybe, yeah. So can you maybe
Exactly.
share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, see, if you had an opportunity to start it early, you would have started. Now, if you have not done that, don't regret about it. That's what I'll say. If I see my contribution graph, I just recently shared on social media that if I see my contribution graph, still 2017, it is like four contribution in a year. Suddenly in 2019, I'll jump to 500, then 1,000, this year 2,000. So I have started somewhere, and I know that, okay, probably if I work for another, say, 10 years, 15 years very actively, I know that where I can go from the open source contribution perspective, where what I can give to community, what I can get back from the community. So I think the crucial point is the start and stay consistent to it. It doesn't matter like when you are starting, right? I read an article that someone started a business in the age of 58, and the person is very proud. The person has started the business at 58 and could run it till the age of 62. The regret is not there because he doesn't know that if he had started long back, whether he would have been successful or would have enjoyed the same way. Because start on 58, kind of retail life, and enjoyed 4 or 5 years of that business running in completely that way. So I think age doesn't matter, the timing doesn't matter. Whenever you start, just let get going.
And since you started it after a few years, of your uh, professional journey, can you share a little bit more about how it helped your career?
Yeah, so open source helped a lot, I would say. Is basically how it helped me personally. It helped me to identify the aspects of how to build communities. Right. I was always hearing like, build community, do networking and things like that. But those things were like very alien to me. Means I was probably not very ready to kind of jump into it because I didn't know whether I'll be able to do it or not. But when we started contributing to open source, fortunately, I was part of certain communities where there are good mentors who we used to mentor kind of asynchronously, not like, meeting wise, but they will tell like, what to be done, what is the right way of handling people, when you are maintaining a project, what is the right way of reviewing things. So I picked up a lot of stuff from that. And when I started maintaining projects, then I was kind of putting those things into practice, and I really felt like, people accept it. So when you are working on open source, the monetary part is very difficult. You if you get sponsorship or things like that, it's okay, but not everybody gets it to start with. So you have to still go with things. You have to still motivate people. You have to still work, collaborative. How do you do that? You need to have certain kind of soft skill into it, and those soft skill, I don't think that anybody can learn just by reading books or things like that. This can only happen through mentoring, practicing. So I think that is where it changed my career in a way that it changed my perspective. I'm now very confident to kind of reach out to people, build in public, make sure that they feel that I'm going to give my more than 100% so that they also commit to it. That kind of attitude, that kind of changes I could bring in myself. That's career changing for me. And of course, the networking part, the more you do in the networking, you have tons of opportunities open up for you, right? Right now I know a lot of people, they're on Twitter, LinkedIn, and various Showcase and various places, including you, Kunal. Is like, they're great community builders. People are really around them. And so I probably know, like, how you would have done this. I can actually guess a bit of it, like how you would have done it. And I am feel proud about it. Like, if I am started doing that kind of community building, like I'm probably on the right track because it is kind of growing slowly and steadily. So these are the things
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. It's very straightforward. It's not rocket science. Like, this is I always say, like, you need referrals. What do? You make connections. You need to
Yes.
be eligible for a particular role. What do? You study, right? You need to be
Yes.
eligible for whatever skills they're asking. So it's not rocket science. It's just like it takes a little bit time. Nothing happens overnight. And you mentioned learning in public. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, how folks can get started and how basically your learning in public journey started? Because uh, I recently found you on Twitter. I'm not sure how long you were active for, but
Uh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I was not very active. I have created my Twitter account long back, but I used only for complaining Airtel and things like that. But I never used it for the tech purpose. But it was pandemic time when I started using it for tech purpose and very seriously, taking Twitter very seriously. So my building in public is not just on Twitter. It's about any project that I create, for example, on GitHub, I keep certain learning in mind. For example, what's my ROI for doing this particular project? The ROI is not about, again, thinking end goal could not, may not be the monetary benefits, but is it going to give me certain kind of content opportunity? Is it going to give me certain kind of opportunity to build a network of people who are interested to work on this project and learn from it and grow from there? So if you see my GitHub profile and the projects that I am interested in to get engaged with, all are in this kind of fashion. So anything I build, I try to commit myself to it publicly first, and then try to get, like, who else would be interested in joining me in this kind of project. And once the people join in, whether kind of get into Discord or get into some kind of stuff where you can actually collaborate and start building those projects. Many have failed, but the main point over here is that we learn something together. We know that when you go to the next one, what are the mistakes that we have done previously. Right now I'm on a project called React Play. It's an open source project for learning React in a kind of learning sharing model. I am utilizing all my failures that I have done in the past, including how to interact with your contributors, including the thing like how to respect them, including the thing like how to get the work done, being part of the community. Not, there was a time that where I was feeling like, okay, I will be just telling people will be doing, doesn't work. So the things like that you continuously learn, continuously evolve, and be part of it and kind of get the things done. So for me, building in public is about get a project idea, talk about our tech stack, commit to it publicly, then see like how what kind of contribution you're getting, build and share, and try to create content around that. And it's a cycle basically. It goes on.
Yeah, and it's all about getting feedback. It's very
Yes.
important. It can definitely help you quite a lot when you're starting out. But once, so for example, me, I already like, so the learning in public thing basically changes. So when you're starting
Hmm.
out, like when you're just starting out, you're just sharing about what you're learning or whatever. And now that you're a little, like I'm a little professional, like I just graduated and everything. Uh, Now the things that I share are like opinions, like, okay, and questions. Oh, Kubernetes is this, Kubernetes is that. Should you learn this before that? What would happen is this. Oh, I'm getting stuck over here. Did you check out this new release? So, the things you're sharing are more like, okay, it's not beginner friendly, but it's according to
Yes.
like whatever what stage of life you are at right now.
Right.
um
Absolutely.
so it's all about like the finding your niche, finding that community. It doesn't necessarily, it's not about like followers or whatever. It's about building credibility, which will definitely help you quite a lot, like when you're looking for a job.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point. It's like not about the followers, but building credibility. I think probably building followers. I don't know. People talk about different kind of algorithms of the platform. I have seen people hooking into those algorithm and kind of build followers. I feel it is comparatively easier than building the credibility because it is hard. And once you build the credibility, you have to maintain, sustain, and improve, going to the next level, right? You have to do that, and that is not about just building your followers by another 50K or things like that. It is hard. The building credibility is really hard.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, and that's a good thing also, that you don't need a big audience to build
Yes.
credibility. And speaking of like learning in public and content creation, I believe Showcase is also running uh, uh, an event, so maybe you can share a little bit
Yeah,
more
devil
about that,
event.
and I will leave the links in the description below for folks to take part. So yeah, maybe you can share a little bit about it.
Oh, sure. So Showcase is running an event called Devil Event. The idea over here is like, for developers, I think it's not just about kind of building features and fixing bugs or kind of working on code all the time. You also need, there's another part is about collaboration, content creation, networking, and all these things. So I personally believe, Kunal, is over last few years is like these aspects are equally important as you kind of learning a language or learning to code. Like, you got to know, like, how are you kind of getting out, doing networking, doing getting into the communities, creating content could be a pathway to kind of do all these kind of things. So the whole purpose of the Dev Elevate event is to kind of tap on that aspect of a developer, where you can come and start creating the content, the content that you want in a way, like we call it show on Showcase. You can create written content, you can create video content, or any kind of content that you want. And in this month long journey of the event, we also help you with lot of insights of how to create content. So we bring speakers who are kind of in this field for a longer time. We do webinars where which you can attend, learn from them, like what are the process of content creation, how it can help in your development journey, how to structure your content, how to sell your content, how to be consistent. So there are various aspect of it which you can actually go through, and then feed that in onto the content that we'll be creating in this entire month. And once this month gets over, we also go through each of this content very carefully. So we have a pool of judges who will go through each of this content very carefully, reflect on all those aspects that happened throughout the event, and then score your content, and then put you into the bucket of great content, and it's like gold content, bronze content, silver content, and things like that. And based on that, you get prizes, goodies, and things like that at the end of the event. So of course the prizes, goodies could be one of the motivation, but I say the real motivation over here is like getting an opportunity to talk, meet, and get things clarified with some of these folks who are there in the field already. You get a chance to at least listen to 8 such talks on YouTube Live. 2 of them are already done on Showcase YouTube channel. It is there, and there are 6 followed up. And these people are either writing or creating content for at least years, so they know things.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks a lot for sharing the past. And for folks who want to get involved, you can check out the link in the description. And it's free to attend, so you can take part and win some exciting prizes and get started with your learning in public journey. Amazing. Well, there's one more thing I want to speak to you about the past is your experience, your journey with technical writing, and how folks can get started with that.
Yeah, so my experience of technical writing, I won't go in terms of years. I will probably say like I had started doing this probably when I started my career, but I was doing in a different fashion. Those writing was only belong to me. Nobody else used to read it because it used to be in my notepad, or some readme or notepad plus plus file. But what happened is like when this pandemic started, the initial age of it, I was introduced to a platform called Hashnote that people already aware, and I figured out a lot of great developers over there, and then started putting my blog over there. And then what I started doing is like all this problem solving that I put a note, I started creating them as articles. And the moment it happened is like I remember still that first article that somebody came and told that he was facing the same problem, and it glad that that solution helped. So then it kicked me like, okay, that means I'm going to solve a lot of problem for people, community, and things like that. And that's how I actually started. And to be very frank, in the beginning there used to be a lot of mistakes, grammatical mistakes, there are mistakes with sentence formation, things like, it will be like just put the code, dump the thing, and kind of get the thing done. So slowly the community feedback started coming, like when you share things more publicly. Being a very introvert person myself, going out and sharing on community was a hiccup in the beginning, but I thought that it is definitely something need to be done because I need improvement. So I started sharing on LinkedIn, started sharing on Twitter, even in the Hashnote communities that time. And fortunately there are very good writers around, and they came and started giving very constructive feedback, like, hey, you can actually use this tool, it is going to take it to the next level, this, that. So I started using that, started polishing that, and really figured out like it makes a lot of difference. For example, I got an offer from Free Code Camp, like, why don't you write for us? So I just submitted some of my blog articles, and then I picked it up, and that's how my Free Code Camp journey started. Then I wrote for CSS Tricks, so things like that, and a lot of other publications who actually pay per article, handsome payment. So you get all these opportunities only when you do things consistently. You write things in a way that you think that people will get benefit out of it. You will get some of these opportunities definitely down the line. For people who want to get started with the technical writing journey, my first suggestion would be is like, don't really think about what are you going to get out of it. Just think about the satisfaction of sharing with the community and helping somebody. If you have that philanthropist mind in the beginning, I would say, than having like, am I going to make $1,000 per month? I think that won't be that way. You will be disappointed. That's what I'll say. It takes time, but once that happens, once you start earning, the growth might happen quite exponential. So you might face a situation. I can actually tell my situation is like, you get at least 5 clients want you to write for their blog. At the same time, there will be folks who wants to publish article on your blog. Now you have to really spend time on reviewing them. You have to spend time of writing for them. So all this engagement, all these things will happen. But first, maybe a year or so, You need to be really consistent. Just solve, share your problem solving. Use good tools to make sure that your writing quality is good, and then just go ahead, share, socialize. That should be the way to kind of get started.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And that the thing is that people worry without like they they don't. So like for example, when someone is like, "Hey, I want to get a job in tech. So how do I get a job in tech?" They're worried about like the interview, or they're worried about like, would I get a good job or not? Instead, what they should be worried about is that am I skilled enough or not? Like worry about that first, then worry about will
Yeah,
you get a job. So worry about the prerequisites first, and the money
exactly.
stuff will definitely come later on. But
It'll
if you
come
don't,
in. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, amazing. Well, thanks a lot for sharing. Tapas, it was really great talking to you. Pleasure talking to you. And for everyone else watching, you can check out the links in the description below. Check out Showcase and build your profile and take part in the challenges. And if you're looking for like remote jobs or to network with other people, find communities, Showcase is a great platform to do that. You can also build your own resume. I made a video on that, so you can check it out. But yeah, to check out the links in the description, sign up and take part in the event, and yeah, to follow Showcase on Twitter because we'll be doing more and more such sessions, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.
cool. Bye bye.